I'm calling this meeting to order of the Sacramento City Unified School District Board of Education for Monday, June 21st. Superintendent, can you please take roll?
Member Pritchett?
Here.
Member Morowski?
Here.
Member Garcia?
Here.
Member Villa?
Here.
Member Rhodes?
Present.
Member Phillips?
Here.
Member Wu?
Member Wu is on us.
Okay, very good.
Member Phillips, are you going to stay with us on Zoom, or are you coming here? Oh, I can't hear her. I think you're on mute.
I'm always on mute. That's the word of the day. Do you want me to come down? Because for closed, right?
Let me make sure that we have the proper equipment put in place for the other room.
Oh, I see what
and then
you're
I'll send you a
saying.
text message.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we have public comment. Ms. Moretti?
Yes, we have 11 public comments, live public comments, and the first speaker is Phil Garcia.
Okay, and before Mr. Garcia speaks, I'd just like to say I'm going to allow the 2 minutes. We have 11 public comments, but I'll allow the 2 minutes for each public comment. But if each of the speakers could please stick to your 2 minutes, and I'll make sure that I let you know when your buzzer goes off. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Garcia. You're on mute. Go ahead, Mr. Garcia. Can you hear us? All right, Ms. Moretti, can you move on to the next public comment? We'll come back to Mr. Garcia.
Yes, our next public speaker is David Fisher.
Good evening. Earlier this month, certificated and classified staff both voted overwhelmingly that they have no confidence in the superintendent's leadership. Supporting evidence behind that vote can be found on our website, sacteachers.org. But it can also be found by considering 3 simple facts. Fact number 1, neither SCTA nor SEIU have voted no confidence in a superintendent for decades. In fact, none of us can remember the last time that has happened. Fact number 2, SCTA and SEIU represent 95% of the Sac City employees, and the vote was overwhelming, 96% from certificated and 97.4% from classified, that they do not have confidence in Mr. Aguilar. Fact 3, as hard as some try to dismiss it and rally a small number of the same anti-union forces to proclaim their support for the superintendent, the fact is that an overwhelming majority of district staff simply do not have confidence in his leadership. As difficult as these facts are to face, it seems to us that you have 2 choices. The first is to double down and express your undiminished support for Mr. Aguilar and ignore the clearly expressed view of an overwhelming majority of district staff. The second is to recognize that the vote reflects the reality that something is very wrong here in Sac City and something needs to change. We hope you choose the second path. With the increased ongoing revenue that will be signed into law any day by the governor, together with $313 million Sac City has already received in federal and state COVID, there's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make significant improvement for our students and our district. The district's motto is put students first. It's a motto we should all live by. Thank you.
Next comment, Ms. Moretti?
Yes, I think we have Phil Garcia back via telephone.
Mr. Garcia? I believe you're still on mute.
Okay, can you hear that?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to comment on the superintendent's performance here as a leader of a district that is so critical to the future of Sacramento and our economy. When you look at the trend lines of the superintendent's leadership, it's in the right direction. Increased graduation rates, increased A through G completion rates, an incredible increase in FAFSA completion rates, and more students who are taking SAT tests. This agenda is about student success, and that's exactly what our focus needs to be. And I will also just add that for background, and I'm sure you all recall, the state auditor's report back in 2019 talked about the need for continuity and leadership and how critical that was to the district being able to address its ongoing financial challenges. And I do want to compliment you, the board, and the superintendent for meeting the challenge of providing our students education during the pandemic. I'm sure it was an incredible challenge. But really, this is a time to stay the course, and we think that the superintendent's record is very positive for the district and most important for our students and their parents. Thank you.
Mr. Garcia.
Our next speaker is Erica Jaramillo.
Ms. Harriman, you are on, oh, there you go. You're off mute now.
Thank you. I just want to address Mr. Aguilar's performance. So 9 out of the 10 last years, the district has projected deficits and actually run surpluses. School staff have already announced that they had taken an overwhelming vote of no confidence in Superintendent Jorge Aguilar for lack of leadership. And the teachers have expressed anger and sadness at the lack of appropriate district Wi-Fi and technology, financial mismanagement, and lack of leadership as well. From my perspective, what I have been witnessing is that Mr. Aguilar is a secretary, but also not a vote on the board, which is very conflicting. So either he is your superintendent or he is a board member. But oftentimes what I am also witnessing is that he is the one in control of the board. And when I see some of the board members off and doing pictures and attending the schools, it seems very coordinated that he is always with the school board members. So it would be nice to see school board members be able to do things and be autonomous and being able to direct and oversee their own areas. The other issue I have a concern with is that it doesn't seem like anyone on the board, especially Mr. Aguilar, is receptive to Ms. Phillips and seems to be controlling what Ms. Phillips says and what she can or cannot say on the board. And the last thing that I want to address is I see Mr. Wu sleeping a lot, and I don't see anyone making any statements or making sure that there's accountability for it.
Next comment, Ms. Moretti.
Yes, our next speaker is John Myers.
Yeah, good evening, board members. I'm disappointed and embarrassed for the students and families of Sac City Unified School District that we're here again tonight on such a trivial topic, really. Let's talk about the facts that David Fisher and John Borsos just provided. In reality, a little over half of the teachers have voted no confidence. I mean, not an overwhelming majority, as David Fisher just stated. Many of these are based on the lies that they've been told by the SCTA. Really, right now is not the time to be changing superintendents as we come out of a pandemic and our district is in such critical shape. We really hope to see the support of this board for this superintendent tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Next comment?
Yes, our next speaker is Rich Vasquez.
Good evening, Mr. Vasquez. Can you hear us?
Yes, our next speaker is Terrence Gladney.
Good evening, everyone. I was surprised that this meeting even was happening, and the only way I knew was that other stakeholders in the district made a Facebook post, emails about every. I think it's just, I mean, we have to do better. We've had, innumerable special board meetings. That's not the way to govern our district. It's not fair to people like myself who are cut off at a regularly scheduled meeting so that we keep the meetings. But then we have a multitude of additional meetings on the calendar that we have to accommodate our family life for and personal lives to make sure that we can be heard. I'm not going to speak my personal opinion on the superintendent's performance, but what I will say is that, any high performing organization has a very clear process and mechanism to evaluate employees. It's not responsive to issues that pop up in the media or public, but we as consumers of the district should know what our superintendent is being evaluated on. There should be a continually available dashboard. When we have a superintendent that says we're data driven, but we don't have metrics that can really say, have our graduations really risen or have they been inflated? When kids are being sent to accelerated academy, but still being counted for the graduation rates for their homeschool and their ADA never leaves, that brings questions. When we have suppressed suspensions by students being removed from the classroom, but not being sent home, that raises questions. I want to see actual numbers in a quote unquote data driven district to see what the performance is. And then that way it's not subjective to a closed session meeting. We know in an ongoing manner where our superintendent and our district's performance stands. Thank you.
Thank you. Next comment?
Yes, our next speaker is Mo Kashmiri.
Hi, Board. Mo Kashmiri here. I just wanted to say, we know that the district has had years and decades of fighting with the union that has gotten in the way of us becoming a school system of choice. Mr. Aguilar has done some good things. However, he hasn't shown the leadership that we need to move beyond the same old crisis we keep on having. This is a moment that we need somebody that can come in with leadership and work collaboratively to decrease the number of flames and help move us forward in a culture where people feel respected and feel like they can give input and make change in their district. Unfortunately, Mr. Aguilar has not chosen that. From what I can see, he's chosen mostly a top-down system of control that leaves most of the staff alienated. And in a year where we needed leadership more than ever, Mr. Aguilar was not there. He was waiting in the back, waiting to see what other districts were going to do and moving behind, instead of really thinking and working together to get the collaboration we need. We need a culture that has a better leadership that gets everyone to work together. I have not seen Mr. Aguilar do that. I also hear people coming to this board often talking about evidence-based. I'd love to know what evidence anyone has that a superintendent's performance actually makes that big difference on on any student's level of performance. The reality is, the one study I know of that looked at it showed that there was no real correlation between the superintendent and the kids' scores. The reality is, the students don't know the superintendent's names. The parents don't know the superintendent's names. They know the names of the teachers and the staff at the site that are doing the work. And if those folks have no confidence in Superintendent Aguilar's leadership, I don't see how we continue to move forward with it. We need a leader that will help bridge divisions rather than inflame them, which is what we've seen. It's laughable to me that anyone would say,
Thank you, Mr. Kashmiri.
Say if anyone how's SUSD doing, people are not going to say it's doing great. That itself is a sign of lack of leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Kashmiri.
Yes, our next speaker, we can, Rich Vasquez, if you can see if you can get through now.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Again, good evening, Board President Pritchett, Superintendent, members of the board. I appreciate the opportunity I'll say like previous comments again, these things keep popping up. So it is kind of hard to, make sure we're out here to be speaker voice. But I will say, when Superintendent Aguilar first got hired, I was in the middle of the parent leadership pathway. So I was learning a lot about his stuff about the district, about what's going on, learning about trustees, board members. I'll let you guys know. You think you poor families know what trustees are? Do you think they know who you guys are? So you need to do better effort that, because I only knew because I was in the leadership pathway and they're discussing that. So we need to do better to, make sure the district knows who you guys are. Again, I'm looking at the past and present. The one thing you need is consistency, right? So I'm looking at the past and present superintendents. Banda was 2 to 3 years. Noguchi, interterm. Raymond, 4 years. Miller, interim. Mejia, 4 years. McCauley, interim, and all the way back to Sweeney for 4 years, and I know he did a little bit more. So again, you have no consistency, so no one's gonna, it's keep rotating, and there's no how are you gonna hold someone accountable? It takes 4 or 5, it takes years to learn what the process is, what's going on in the district. So we want to just toss another person out with, start that over. We've been doing that for the last 10, 20 years. There's been a many great new hires since he's been. I'm just some low parent that was at the bottom of at the school site. So again, I don't know what other people know, but I know that when he came, he's talking about meeting out to the public, talking to his family. So I felt empowered when he got here. I'm just telling my truth. I mean, I might rub people the wrong way, but that's what I feel. Again, I've talked to Superintendent Aguilar many times at just different things, way more than a lot of the teachers in the district. And I'm always on site. I'm always at everything. So we think there's a lot of improvement there. So I know when I see him, I have the confidence and to just talk to him, and he takes the time to talk to me. So again, we need to keep, everything hasn't been great, but we need consistency. So again, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vasquez. Is that the last comment?
Yes, that is the last person online that requested to speak.
Okay, we will move into closed session. Calling this meeting back to order, and there are no announcements out of closed session. I will take a motion to adjourn. There's no student preferential. Carissa, we miss you. All in favor, say aye. All right, good night.